Welcome back to Decoding AI for You, the 5-minute deep dive. Today's episode, we are reviewing the book, The AI Con: How to Fight Big Tech's Hype and Create the Future We Want, by Emily M. Bender and Alex Hanna. It's a sharp activist take on how AI, especially generative AI, is being oversold, misrepresented, and misused. And while I don't agree with everything in the book, I think it's essential reading for anyone navigating AI adoption in their business. At its core, this book is a warning. Bender and Hanna argue that the term AI is more about branding than technology. It's used to market everything from basic automation to large language models as if they were intelligent, sentient systems, when in fact, they're not. Here are the key messages they deliver. AI is not a coherent technology. It's a catch-all term that hides the real workings of automation, classification, prediction, recommendation, transcription, and frames them as intelligent. Big tech benefits the most from the AI hype, using it to attract investment, avoid regulation, and shift public attention away from the real present harms of these systems. Large language models, or LLMs, are not conscious or understanding. They're trained to mimic patterns in text. They produce plausible outputs but have no awareness or intent. The authors warn against AI being used in social services, healthcare, education, and law, where it can scale bias, cut corners, and dehumanize care. They highlight how AI is often built on exploitative labor practices, especially in the global South, and criticize how automation is being used to intensify work, not reduce it. They argue that both AI doomers and AI boosters, those who fear extinction and those who promise utopia, are distracting us from real issues like inequality, climate impact, and the loss of good jobs. And finally, the book ends with a call to action. Resist the hype, demand regulation, protect human labor, and reframe our understanding of these technologies in plain terms, not as magic, but as tools. If you're skeptical about all the breathless headlines around AI and want a reality check, this book delivers. I found the AI Con thought-provoking, and I deeply respect the work Bender and Hanna are doing to challenge power and elevate critical voices in tech. Their arguments are valid, especially their critiques of labor exploitation, regulatory capture, and misleading narratives. But I think there's another side to the story, a perspective that's equally important for business leaders to consider. Let's start here. All models are wrong, but some are useful. George Box, statistician. That quote sums up the heart of my counterpoint. Yes, language models and AI tools are imperfect. Yes, they simplify complex realities, but that doesn't mean they're not valuable. In fact, many imperfect models outperform human experts in consistency, scalability, and decision-making, particularly when it comes to repetitive or data-intensive tasks. This isn't new. Since the 1950s, studies by psychologists like Paul Meehl and later J. Scott Armstrong showed that simple statistical models often outperformed human professionals in tasks like diagnosing patients, forecasting business trends, and assessing risk. That same principle applies to LLMs today. They don't think, but they predict language patterns so well that they can write emails, summarize documents, draft reports, or even generate code more efficiently than most professionals. So while the AI Con is right to caution against overhyping AI's capabilities, we should also recognize that usefulness doesn't require consciousness. There's also a pragmatic angle. In consulting, banking, healthcare, and law, businesses are using LLMs right now to streamline operations, cut costs, and scale insight. They're not replacing professionals, they're augmenting them. And like all tools, the impact depends on how they're used. In the hands of a thoughtful analyst, an LLM is a productivity multiplier. In the hands of someone chasing hype, it's a risk. But this is true of any powerful technology. The key is governance, literacy, and context, not total rejection. We also have to remember, every transformative technology has started out flawed. The first cars were dangerous. The first computers were massive and limited. The first smartphones were clunky and expensive. We didn't abandon them. We improved them. And that improvement came from usage, feedback, and responsible integration, not just critique. So yes, AI systems today need scrutiny, but they also need thoughtful experimentation and refinement. So where does that leave us? I think the AI Con offers an essential critique of how AI is marketed and misused. It reminds us to ask hard questions. Who benefits? Who is harmed? And what are we calling intelligence anyway? But at the same time, we shouldn't let that critique stop us from exploring what's useful. Large language models are not sentient, but they are powerful. They're not creative, but they can support creativity. They're not perfect, but in the right settings, they're incredibly helpful. The goal isn't to be a booster or a doomer. It's to be a critical realist, someone who sees the potential, the limitations, and the responsibility of integrating AI into our work and society. A closing thought: no doubt the current environment around large language models is very hyped, and as such, it is extremely important to read books like The AI Con to balance those exaggerated claims. As such, I encourage you to read the book to get the author's full perspective versus my summarized review. Thanks for watching Decoding AI for You. If you found this useful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Let's keep exploring the future of AI together. And as always, stay curious, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next episode of Decoding AI for You.